The Man Who Lived a Lie, the chilling true story of Jean-Claude Romand. For nearly 20 years, Jean-Claude Romand fooled everyone. His wife believed he was a respected doctor. His friends believed he worked for the World Health Organization. His parents trusted him with their life savings, but there was one horrifying problem. None of it was true. He wasn't a doctor. He never worked for the WHO. And for almost 2 decades, he spent his days wandering highways, sleeping in parking lots, and hiding from the truth. Then, in January 1993, his world began to collapse. And rather than confess the lie, Jean-Claude Romand chose murder. This is the terrifying true story of deception, narcissism, and one of France's most disturbing family annihilation cases. Chapter 1: The Perfect Son. Jean-Claude Romand was born on February 11, 1954, in the small town of Lons-le-Saunier, France. To outsiders, he appeared quiet, intelligent, and deeply polite. His parents adored him. Teachers praised him. Friends described him as reserved but trustworthy. Nothing about him hinted at violence or manipulation. In the mid-1970s, Romand enrolled in medical school in Lyon. For his family, it was a dream come true. Their son would become a doctor. But behind the scenes, disaster struck almost immediately. During his second year of medical school, Romand failed a critical exam. Most students would simply retake it. But Jean-Claude Romand made a different decision. He lied. He told his family he had passed, and that single lie would become the foundation of a nightmare. Chapter 2: The Birth of a Fake Life. Instead of returning to classes, Romand continued pretending to be a medical student. For years, he still visited the campus. He still carried books. He still spoke about exams and lectures. But he wasn't studying anything. He had quietly disappeared from the system. What makes this case so terrifying is how ordinary his deception looked. There were no fake mustaches, no elaborate disguises, just confidence and silence. Romand mastered the art of saying very little. People filled in the blanks themselves. The less he explained, the more believable he became. Years passed. Then somehow, the lie grew even bigger. He claimed he had become a physician working for the World Health Organization in Geneva, Switzerland. It sounded prestigious, important, impossible to verify easily in the pre-internet era, and everyone believed him. 3. The commute to nowhere. Every morning, Jean-Claude Romand left home dressed like a professional heading to work. His wife kissed him goodbye. His children believed their father was saving lives. But instead of going to an office, Romand spent entire days alone. He parked at motorway service stations, read magazines in cafes, walked through forests for hours. Sometimes he simply sat in his car, doing nothing, waiting for time to pass. Then in the evening, he returned home with stories about meetings, conferences, and research projects, and nobody questioned him. Because why would they? He looked successful, he sounded educated, and most importantly, people trusted him. Chapter 4: The Money Scheme. Maintaining the illusion required money, a lot of it. Romand had no salary, no medical license, no employment. So he created another lie. He convinced friends and relatives that, because of his connections in Switzerland, he had access to exclusive investment opportunities and tax-free Swiss accounts. People trusted him completely. Why wouldn't they? He was a WHO doctor, educated, respected, successful. His own parents handed him large amounts of money. Friends invested their savings. Even his wife believed their finances were secure. But there were no Swiss accounts, no investments. Romand was simply moving money around, using new victims to delay collapse. It was essentially a personal Ponzi scheme hidden beneath the image of a perfect family man. And for years, it worked. Chapter 5: The Perfect Family Image. By the early 1990s, Jean-Claude Romand appeared to have everything: a beautiful wife named Florence, 2 children, Chloe and Antoine, a large home near the Swiss border. To neighbors and friends, they looked like the ideal family. But beneath the surface, the pressure was building. Maintaining one lie is difficult. Maintaining thousands of lies for 18 years is psychological torture. Every conversation became dangerous. Every question became a threat. And slowly, cracks began to appear. The collapse. By 1993, people around Romand were becoming suspicious. Some relatives wanted their money returned. Friends noticed inconsistencies in his stories. And Florence, his wife, had started asking questions. The fake world Jean-Claude Romand had built was collapsing. He faced exposure, humiliation, prison, the destruction of the identity he had spent nearly 2 decades creating. And according to investigators, Romand could not bear the idea of being seen as a failure. Then came January 9th, 1993, the day everything ended. The murders. That night, Jean-Claude Romand murdered his wife Florence while she slept. Then he killed his 2 children, 9-year-old Antoine, 7-year-old Chloe. The next day, he drove to his parents' house. There, he shot both his mother and father. He also killed the family dog. In less than 48 hours, nearly everyone who truly knew him was dead. But Romand wasn't finished. He later attempted to kill a former mistress after she questioned him about money. She survived and escaped. It would become one of the key moments that exposed him. Chapter 8: Fire and Discovery. After the murders, Romand returned home and spent nearly 2 days living beside the bodies of his wife and children. Then he attempted to stage his own death. He set the house on fire while inside it. But the suicide attempt failed. Firefighters rescued him before the flames could kill him. At first, investigators believed Romand was simply a tragic survivor of a horrible accident. But very quickly, strange inconsistencies emerged. Then came the shocking discovery. Jean-Claude Romand was not a doctor. He had never worked for the World Health Organization. In fact, almost every detail of his adult life had been fabricated. France was stunned. Chapter 9: The Trial of the Liar. In 1996, Jean-Claude Romand stood trial for the murders of his wife, children, and parents. The public became obsessed with one question: how could someone maintain a lie for 18 years? Psychologists struggled to explain him. Was he a narcissist, a pathological liar, a sociopath, or simply a man so terrified of failure that he destroyed everyone around him to avoid facing the truth? During the trial, Romand appeared calm and emotionless. Some observers described him as empty, like a man who had spent so long pretending to be someone else. He no longer knew who he really was. He was sentenced to life imprisonment. Chapter 10: The Aftermath. The case shocked France for years. How could someone fake an entire life for nearly 2 decades? After serving 26 years in prison, Jean-Claude Romand was granted parole in 2019 under strict conditions. Reports stated he moved into a religious community after release. Even today, many in France still struggle to understand him. Because Jean-Claude Romand did not kill for money or revenge. He killed because the truth was finally catching up to him. For 18 years, Jean-Claude Romand lived inside a fictional version of himself, a respected doctor, a loving husband, a successful father, but eventually every lie demands a price, and in Romand's case, that price was 5 innocent lives. If you enjoyed this documentary, subscribe for more true crime stories, criminal investigations, and psychological breakdowns from around the world. And tell us in the comments, do you think Jean-Claude Romand was evil from the beginning, or simply a man consumed by his own lies? Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.